My name is Amaka, and before I tell you this story, I want you to remember one thing. Being born into a family doesn't always mean you're truly accepted by it. I was born in a small village tucked between hills and rivers. My father died when I was very young, and my mother raised my younger sister and me by herself. Her name is Mama Yuju. Strong woman, proud woman. But when it came to love, she gave it all to one child, Chica, my younger sister. Chica was the beauty, the star, the jewel of the family. She had the brightest smile and the loudest laugh, and everyone adored her. Me, I was quiet, hardworking, always in the shadows. If Chica asked for something, she got it. If I asked for the same, I was told, "We're struggling, Amaka. You should understand." And I did. Too many times. I remember one day in secondary school. I had come first in class, a huge achievement. I brought the report card home, heart racing, excited. Mama looked at it, gave a small nod, and went back to stirring the pot of egusi. No praise, no hug, nothing. A week later, Chica was chosen too. Dance at the school's cultural day. She didn't win anything. But Mama cooked jollof rice, invited neighbors, and danced all evening like her daughter had won the presidency. Still, I swallowed my feelings. I told myself, maybe this is how things are supposed to be. Years passed, I became a tailor. I didn't go to university like Chica did. I stayed behind to help Mama with bills. My sewing machine became my best friend. I stitched dreams into fabric. For other people, while my own dreams gathered dust in the corners of our two-room house. Then, one Tuesday morning, the letter came. A white envelope. No warmth in the handwriting. Just, "You are invited to Chica's traditional engagement. Saturday. Don't forget to come with your contribution." No, dear Amaka. No, it would mean a lot to us. Just cold ink. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the letter. Something in my chest tightened. Not even a phone call. After everything I had done, after staying back to help Mama survive, this was how they invited me. Still, I decided I would go. But not to please them. I would go for myself. To witness it. To know that I showed up even when they tried to leave me behind. That whole week, I worked overtime to make a decent dress. A long, flowing red gown with gold embroidery around the sleeves. I didn't have enough money for gel, but I made a simple head wrap to match. I didn't have the kind of money they were expecting for contributions. But I bought a beautiful Ancora material and stitched it myself as a gift for Chica. I wrapped it with brown paper and tied it with a ribbon. Simple, but made with love. The day of the engagement came, and I walked to the venue on foot. It was held in the village square. The place was packed. Canopies stood tall. Chairs arranged in neat rows. Women danced in lace blouses and towering head wraps. Music blasted from speakers, and trays of meat and drinks were being passed around. The moment I stepped in, the air changed. People turned and looked. Not with joy, not with welcome, with confusion, with whispers, some with amusement. Then I saw her mama, standing beside Chica and her fiancé, her face glowing with pride. I walked toward her and greeted her with both hands. "Good afternoon, Mama." She looked at me. Her eyes scanned my dress, my wrapped gift. Her smile faded. "You came empty-handed," she hissed, not bothering to lower her voice. "Where's your envelope?" "People are bringing N50,000, N100,000. You brought wrapper and ribbon. Are you a child?" A few people near us turned to look. I felt my face burn. "Mama, this is what I could afford," I whispered. "I used my own hands to sew your hands." She cut me off. "You want to embarrass me in front of Chica's in-laws? You think this is a sewing competition? You should have stayed at home, Amaka. You're an insult." Chica turned briefly, looked at me, then turned back to her fiancé, laughing as though nothing had happened. I stood there, holding that wrapped gift like a fool. My chest felt like it was being crushed by a stone. People watched in silence. Some chuckled. Others shook their heads in pity. I slowly backed away and walked to the corner of the square. No one came after me. No one asked me to sit. Even old Auntie Ngozi, who used to carry me on her back when I was small, looked away. I sat on the edge of a wooden bench, staring at my gift. My stomach turned. I hadn't eaten all day, and now even my soul felt hungry for love, for acceptance, for something. Then I heard a woman behind me whisper, "She's always been jealous of her sister. That one bad luck follows her." I didn't turn around. I didn't speak. I just sat there, the sounds of drums echoing in my ears, my heart breaking quietly. That day, I realized something. Sometimes it's not the strangers who hurt you the most. It's the people who call you daughter. But this wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. The sounds of laughter, music, and judgment echoed in my head long after the engagement party ended. I lay on my mat, staring at the ceiling, clutching the gift I never got to give. I wondered if I should have just stayed home. But something inside me whispered, "You did nothing wrong, Amaka. You gave from your heart. They just didn't want your kind of gift." The next morning, I folded the Ankara cloth carefully, placed it back in my cupboard, and returned to work. Life had to go on, but word had already spread around the village. Everywhere I went, whether it was the market, the well, or even inside church, I could feel the stares, the whispers, the pity. She came with only cloth, her own sister's engagement. Even apprentice tailors give more. I kept my head down and stitched faster than ever. I made 5 dresses that week, all perfectly done, all for half price. Just to keep myself busy. Just to quiet the shame. A few days later, I went to Mama's house. Not because I wanted to, but because deep down, some part of me still longed for a mother's comfort. Maybe she would apologize. Maybe she would pretend nothing happened and offer me food. Maybe, just maybe, she'd remember I was her first child. I knocked once. No response. I opened the door. There she was, sitting with Chica and 2 other women. Her eyes met mine and narrowed. "You again?" she said flatly. "I came to see how you're doing," I replied. "We're fine. You can go now," she snapped. The other women laughed under their breath. I hesitated. "Mama, I didn't mean to embarrass you. I only gave what I could afford." "You know, She stood up, her voice rising. "Afford is N10 too much for your only sister's engagement. You couldn't borrow. Or at least, stay at home instead of coming with shame." Chica looked up, chewing plantain slowly, then rolled her eyes. "Amaka always wants to make everything about her. You had your chance to go to university. You stayed behind. Don't blame us for your life." The slap wasn't physical, but it landed just the same. I left without saying a word as I walked. Down the dirt road back to my tiny room, I passed a group of young men. One of them chuckled and said loudly, "That's her. Oh, the one who brought wrapper for engagement. Next time, maybe she'll bring groundnut." Laughter exploded behind me. I didn't look back, but inside, a storm was building. I started asking myself questions, hard ones. Who was this man Chica was marrying? Why did Mama suddenly worship the ground he walked on? Where was all this money coming from? I had heard whispers from the market women. Something about his connections. Something about him spending more money than a government official. One night, as I packed up my sewing things, my old friend Adaze came to visit. "Amaka," she said cautiously, "I've been hearing things about Chica's fiancé Wabiora." "What kind of things?" I asked. She lowered her voice. "That he deals in rituals. That he hasn't worked a real job in years. That his last girlfriend disappeared." My heart stopped. I thought it was just gossip, she continued. But last week, they said one of his drivers died mysteriously. Blood everywhere. Police came. Then the case disappeared, just like that. I stared at her. Why are you telling me this now? Because I know you'll be blamed if something goes wrong. They already treat you like the bad one. I didn't sleep again that night. I remembered the flashy cars at the engagement, the thick gold chains Obiora wore, the way his eyes never really smiled. I remembered the small charm he wore on his wrist, the one Mama had said was just for style. A few days later, I saw Obiora near the village bar. He was shouting on the phone, cursing in a language I didn't recognize. His face was twisted, dark. A man tried to greet him. He ignored him. He got into his black Jeep and sped off. Something wasn't right. I knew it in my bones, but how could I tell Mama? She wouldn't believe me. She had made it clear. Chica's happiness came before truth, before dignity, even before me. Still, I had to try. I went back to Mama's house one last time. Mama, I said quietly, I think something is wrong with Chica's fiancé. Please be careful. Just listen to me. She stood up from her mat and slapped me across the face so hard my ears rang. You will not curse my daughter's joy, she screamed. You are bitter, jealous, evil. My eyes watered not from the pain, but from the ache of being misunderstood, of being hated by the very woman who gave birth to me. Chica stood at the door, arms folded, smirking. You're just angry. It's not you, Amaka, she said. But who would marry a tailor with dust on her feet? They laughed. Mama and daughter. Laughing like I was a clown. I left the house, my cheeks burning, my soul trembling. That night, I looked at the engagement gift I had sewn, the one still sitting in my cupboard. I picked it up, walked outside, and threw it into the fire behind my house. The flames swallowed it whole, and I made myself a promise. If no one would stand up for me, I would stand for myself. Whatever truth was hiding in Obiora's shadow, I was going to find it, even if it cost me everything. Some people say you should mind your business and protect your peace. But what do you do when that business is your family? And that peace is built on blood. After Mama slapped me and called me bitter, something inside me broke. Not just pain, clarity. Wasn't jealous. I wasn't bitter. I was the only one who could see clearly what everyone else chose to ignore. And I was done being silent. I began asking questions, quietly, carefully. The first person I spoke to was Uncle Ike, my late father's cousin. He was a retired policeman who now spent most of his days fixing radios under a mango tree. I brought him roasted groundnuts and sat beside him. Uncle, do you know anything about Obiora, Chica's fiancé? He looked up slowly, eyes narrowing. Why are you asking? I heard things, bad things. He rubbed his beard and sighed. Obiora is a powerful man, but power without roots is dangerous. Some say he got rich overnight. Some say he did things. I know someone who tried to investigate him. Now, he sells onions at the back of the market, silent, afraid. Is it true, Uncle? He paused for a long time. Then he said softly, Child, truth is like fire. Warm if you sit beside it. Deadly if you fall in. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I decided to visit Adaze the next morning. She had a cousin in the city who once worked for Obiora briefly before quitting suddenly. We sat on her veranda, chewing cola nut. Ada, I said, I need your help. I need to know where Obiora's wealth is from. I don't trust it. Adaze nodded. My cousin is afraid to talk, but maybe he'll speak to you. Meet him at the back of the abandoned poultry farm. Tonight? No. One must see. That evening, under the cover of dusk, I walked to the poultry farm. my heart pounding like a talking drum. He was already there, slim man in a dusty cap, leaning against a rusted gate. "You're Ada's friend," he said. Without greeting. "Yes," I replied. He looked around cautiously. "I'll talk, but only once." He told me everything. How Obiora moved with men who didn't blink. How there was a room in his mansion. No one was allowed to open it. How he once paid an entire town to stay silent after a woman was found dead near his house. Her tongue missing. "He's into things," the man whispered. "Real things. Blood, charms, sacrifices. He calls it protection, but it's more. He's not just trying to get rich. He's feeding something." My stomach turned. I asked him why he didn't go to the police. He laughed bitterly. "Police? Half of them are eating from his palm. The other half are afraid." He handed me a brown envelope. "In here," he said, "is a photo of one of his shrines, taken secretly. Use it if you ever need to run." And just like that, he vanished into the darkness. I took the envelope home, hands trembling. Inside was a photo, blurry, but clear enough to see symbols painted in red on the walls. Skulls, animal bones. A black pot with something floating inside. It, and at the corner, Obiora, eyes closed, dressed in white. I felt like vomiting. My first thought was to go straight to Mama, but I paused. Would she listen? She had slapped me for just suggesting something was wrong. What would she do if I told her the man she wanted to call Sunila was bathing in blood? Still, I had to try one last time. I waited until Sunday morning, when I knew she'd be home from church, relaxing. I, dressed in my cleanest wrapper, carried the envelope and walked to her house. Chica opened the door. She looked me up and down. "What do you want now?" "I came to speak with Mama," I said. "She doesn't want to see you?" "She will want to see this." She tried to stop me, but I pushed past her. Mama was inside, peeling yams. She looked up, scowling. I said, "Don't come here again. Mama, please," I begged. "Just look at this." I dropped the envelope. On the floor, it slid across to her feet. She picked it up, opened it, stared at the photo. Her eyes widened. Then she stood up and tore the picture in half. "You want to destroy my daughter's joy with fake pictures?" she screamed. "Mama," she grabbed a broom and swung it at me. "Get out of my house, witch, enemy of progress." Chica laughed behind me. I didn't fight. I didn't cry. When I got outside, the neighbors had gathered. Again, this time, they weren't laughing. They looked at me with fear, suspicion, as if I had brought a curse to the house. I walked home in silence. I realized then I could not save people who didn't want to be saved. But fate. Fate has a way of proving what words cannot, because 2 weeks later, Obiora was arrested. It started like a whisper, just like the whispers that once followed me after Chica's engagement. Only this time, they weren't whispering about me. They were whispering about Obiora. Rumors first came from the city. Something about missing funds. A failed land deal, but no one paid it any mind, not in our village, where Obiora was seen as a savior, a golden boy, a walking ATM. Until that day. The day the black SUVs rolled into our quiet village, kicking up red dust that coated every window and every secret. 3 vehicles, tinted glass, no music, no greetings. They parked right outside Mama's compound. It was still early sun, not fully up. Roosters barely done crowing. Chica was inside, painting her nails, preparing for a bridal shopping trip to Enugu. Mama was frying a KR done. Then the knock came. 3 men in black suits, badges, stern faces. "We are looking for Obiora Okonkwo," one said. Chica stepped out, confused. "Why? He is under investigation." "Fraud, ritual activities. Unlawful possession of human remains. The pan fell from Mama's hands, oil splashing onto the dust. What? Human what? Obiora wasn't there. He had traveled the night before, but the men had a warrant. They searched the house anyway. They found a black pouch under Sika's bed. Inside were charms, tied feathers, a small bottle with something thick and dark. Chica screamed that it wasn't hers, that she didn't know anything. But the officers didn't care. They took pictures, wrote things down. By midday, the entire village knew. By evening, Obiora had been arrested on his way back from the city cot at a gas station. Trying to run, Mama fainted. I heard it from my neighbor's son. He came running to my house, breathless. They arrested him. Obiora. They said he's a ritualist. Police at Mama's house. Your sister is crying. I didn't rush there. I sat still, calm, the way you sit when the sky finally gives you the rain you told everyone was coming. But inside, my heart broke for Mama, for Chica, even for the innocent people who would never believe such evil could wear a smile and expensive shoes. Later that evening, Mama came to my room. Yes, Mama. She looked like a different woman. Her wrapper was tied carelessly, hair uncovered, eyes swollen from crying. She didn't knock. She just entered and stood in the corner, staring at the floor. I should have listened to you, she whispered. I didn't respond. She sat on the mat, bent over, and wept. I was blind, Amaka. I chose gold over blood, and now my daughter is disgraced. I stared at her. This was the same woman who had slapped me. The same woman who humiliated me. The same one who worshipped Chica like she was sent from the sky. Mama, I said softly, I never wanted this to happen. I only wanted you to see me, to trust me. She looked up. Her face was full of shame. I'm sorry, she said. Forgive me. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to cry with her. But something inside me had changed. I wasn't bitter. I had simply grown. Mama, I said, I forgive you. But forgiveness doesn't mean things can go back to how they were. She nodded slowly. Then she said the words I had waited my whole life to hear. You are the strong one, Amaka, not Chica. You are the one who carried this family in silence. I was too blind to see it. That night, for the first time in many years, I slept without tears. The days that followed were a storm. The news reached the radio. Obiora was linked to multiple deaths due in the city, one in a nearby village. His businesses were shut down, his accounts frozen. People who once bowed when he passed now avoided even saying his name. Chica was a wreck. She refused to leave the house. The in-laws withdrew all marriage plans. Her bridal dresses were never picked up, and Mama. She aged 10 years in 1 week. As for me, something strange happened. Women started visiting me not to gossip, but to sew, to talk, to ask for advice. Amaka, can you make a dress for my daughter's naming ceremony? Amaka, please speak to my son. He respects you. I became known not just as a tailor but as a woman with wisdom. One morning, an elder called me aside and said, "Your voice, your strength, it saved more than just your family. It saved this whole village from shame." I smiled politely, but deep down, I knew no one had saved me. I saved myself. A month later, a young man came to my shop. He was quiet, respectful. He needed a shirt mended, but something about him was different. He came back the next week, and the next. Eventually, he said, "I've seen how you carry yourself, Amaka. You're not just beautiful, you're brave." His name was Chinidu. A teacher, humble, kind. No gold chains, no loud cars. Just quiet strength. We began to talk, then laugh, then dream. Mama noticed. One day, she pulled me aside and said, "You deserve happiness, Amaka. Don't let my mistakes hold you back." I looked her in the eye. I won't. Time moved, but the memory didn't fade. Obiora remained behind bars. Trials were ongoing in the city. The stories that came out made even the bravest men tremble. Chica, once the center of every celebration, now barely stepped outside. Her laughter no longer echoed through the village like it used to. And Mama, well, she had grown quiet. Always watching, always thinking. As for me, I blossomed. People began to see me not as the other daughter, not as the tailor who brought a small gift, but as a woman of strength. I was invited to speak at a women's forum in the town hall, something I never imagined. The elders asked me to help mentor the younger girls in the village. Mothers brought their daughters to me not just for clothes, but for guidance. But there was one invitation that caught me off guard. It was from the village council. They wanted me to speak at the annual Unity Gathering event where villagers from neighboring communities came together to discuss progress, culture, and leadership. I was nervous. What could I possibly say that would matter? I spent days thinking, walking by the stream, sewing by candlelight, listening to the wind. Then I knew. I wasn't going to speak about Obiora, or Chica, or Mama's mistakes. I was going to speak about worth. The gathering came. Hundreds of people. Bright clothes, dancing, drums. Chiefs from nearby villages. Even Mama was there, sitting quietly at the back. When they called my name, I walked to the front, heart pounding but head held high. I didn't carry a paper, spoke from the soul. My name is Amaka, I began. Some of you know me as the tailor. Some of you know me as the girl who came to a party with only a wrapper. Some of you laughed. Some of you whispered. There was a stillness. But what many didn't know was that I gave the best of what I had. And sometimes, the best of what you have is more than enough. People shifted. Eyes focused. We live in a time where money speaks louder than truth, where gold blinds us from seeing people's hearts. But we forget, money doesn't raise a child. Pride doesn't build a home. It is love, wisdom, integrity. Heads began to nod. I was insulted, pushed aside, laughed at, but I held on to myself. And that is what saved me. Not a man, not a marriage, not money, just knowing my own value. Then I paused, looked out over the crowd, and added, to every girl who feels unseen, unwanted, unworthy, you are enough. Not because of what you have, but because of who you are. The crowd was silent at first. Then, one by one, they began to clap. The sound grew. Mama stood up slowly. Her eyes glistened. She didn't clap. She wept, not from shame, but from a mother finally realizing that the child she once pushed aside had become the woman she needed all. Long weeks passed. Chica began healing slowly. She stopped wearing makeup, stopped pretending. One evening, she came to my shop, eyes red. I'm sorry, she whispered, for everything. I was proud. Foolish, I held her hand. I forgive you. We sat on my mat, talking like sisters, for the first time in years. And what about Chinadu? Well, one Sunday afternoon, he stood in front of my little sewing shed with a flower in hand. I don't have riches, he said. But I have peace, and I want to share it with you. I smiled. That's more than enough. We didn't throw a big party. We didn't invite hundreds, just close friends. A simple wedding in the backyard of my shop. Mama wore the dress I made for her, gold and green, her favorite colors. She cried. The whole time, not from regret. From joy after the ceremony, she pulled me close and whispered, "You have taught me more than I ever taught you." And so, my story comes to an end. Not the story of humiliation. Not the story of pain, but the story of a woman who refused to. Let shame define her, who said no to money and yes to self-respect. A woman who wasn't chosen by her family, but chose herself. My name is Amaka, and I am no longer just the girl with a gift too small. The woman whose worth could never be priced. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end, as well as please let us know where are you watching from. Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.